Okay, so to continue on, I've shown how you can establish on the elevation by way of the cut on elevation at 45 degrees, and how it imposes itself on the end view and on the plan. Now, what I'm going to show you now is how to establish the true shape of this cut surface that's imposed on the end view and on the plan through this line here on the elevation. Now, as I said to you in the previous video, the true length of the line from point 1 to point 4 here on end view and point 1 to point 4 here on plan, the true length is shown on the elevation. So 1 to 4 on elevation is the true length of 1 to 4 on plan and 1 to 4 on the end view. So I could very simply, from this cut on elevation, draw a line at 45 degrees because the cut is at 45 degrees. So to draw a line of return of 45 degrees gives me a 90-degree angle to this cut line. So I could simply bring all of these points at 45 degrees to the 45-degree cut, and I then draw in basically what will become point 1 to 4. Now I'm going to use point 1 and 4 as a swivel to basically flip the cut around so we can see the true shape. We amalgamate the true length with the true width. However, I also want to show the development of the sides. So as a view, when I'm looking at this here, if I put the true shape of this cut surface here, then it's going to impede on me developing the sides, the true shape of the sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply step this, instead of having it here, I'm going to bring it across to here. Okay, now I very simply do that by drawing a 45-degree line over this side of the sheet. So again, make sure your T-square is square against the board, and I'm simply going to draw this here. Okay, 45 degrees. I bring my points across, points 1 and 4, points 2 and 6, points 3 and 5. Now, what I have here now is basically points 1, 2, 6, 3, 5, points 4 imposed on this 45-degree line here. Now I'm going to just draw this in red here, what I've established. So 45 degrees from this point to this point. So that's showing you this red line here. This cut is here. Now I'm going to return the points of 1, 2, 6, 3, 5 and 4 where I brought them across. I'm going to return them at 45 degrees here. Now, I have my return lines, okay, so this is exemplifying this part here. So I'm going to basically put these as widths and true widths and a true length. So I've got already points 1, so this is here is point 1, and this here, this last point here is point 4. Okay, now in order to establish point 2 and 6, again, if I look at my plan and my end view, okay, if I indicate this line in red here, okay, points 1 and 4 is here, right? That's point 1 and 4. Okay, so this broken line here, like so. Points 1 and 4 is here. So that line there, where I've indicated as a swivel here, red line, that line there and this line here, they're going to be swivel lines. So I'm twisting around on this here, this view here, the true length from 1 to 4, I'm going to use that as a flip. I'm going to pivot that around, the widths around on that. So to do that, I simply get the widths from my plan or my end view. So I'm going to take them from the end view. So points 2 to 6. Right, go to my plan here. So points 2 to 6 there. Right, and then likewise be the exact same here as well. 2 and 6. Okay, and same 2 and 6. Okay, so I'm going to swivel that around from that center line there, 2 and 6. And then do the same with here, points 3, 5, should be the same here, 3 and 5, and I swivel that around. So now what I have is, we're looking at this here, I have points 1 to 4, but I also now have points 2 and 6 and points 3 and 5. Now if I connect those points up, I have the true shape of that surface. So from points 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 1. Now what I've done here is I have established, using the true length of the line from 1 to 4 here on the cut surface, okay, on the elevation, 1 to 4 is a true length of 1 to 4 on plan, on end view and on plan, okay, and I'm using the true widths from the plan and the end view, okay. So true widths and true length gives me the true shape of the cut surface here. So this here is the true shape of this cut surface. Now I can also do it a number of other ways. So again, using a swivel point, I can establish the same information. So again, if I show you here on the elevation, I simply, using point 1 as a swivel point, okay, I can bring points 4 around to the vertical, points 3 and 5 around to the vertical, and points 2 and 6 around to the vertical. Okay, so I'm just going to indicate that now in green and use a French curve just to put in those points. Now, where they hit the vertical line here, I simply bring the points across. I've already got point 1, which is here. Okay, so I bring those same points from the side view. I bring the same points up. Now if I put that in as a grid, okay, again, simply using the green line here, bring the points across. And then the same points, 0.5, bring up. Six. Two and three. Now, again, to establish those points, okay, 1 is the civil point, so 1 does not change. Okay, so 2 is here, and 6 is here. 3 is here, and 5 is here. And then 0.4 is at the top. So if I index those again, that here becomes 0.2, that here becomes 0.3, this one then becomes 0.4, then that's 0.5 and 0.6. So if I connect them up, so 1 stays the same because it's on the swivel point. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 back to 1. So you can see here what I've simply done, using 1 as a swivel point, again indicate this in green. So I've brought all of these points, using 1 as a swivel point, up to the vertical, brought them across, and brought the corresponding points up from the end view, and that gives me the true shape here of the cut surface. So that's another way of doing it, same result. So that's the cut surface, true shape of the cut surface here, that's the true shape of the cut surface here. Now if I was to do it again, instead of using 0.1, I could use 0.4 as a swivel. So again, if I was to use 0.4 as a swivel, I simply bring the points around the other way. So instead of bringing them up onto the vertical here, I can simply bring them down here onto the horizontal and bring it down to the plan. I could also simply use, again, 0.1, and instead of bringing them up to the vertical, swing them all the way around to the horizontal and bring them down to plan. So I'm just going to use 0.4 here as a swivel point rather than 0.1 again, and just show you how that can be done and impose it on plan. So 0.4 here, that is going to be the swivel point. And again, what I do is I use the compass and I simply get 0.35 here, pull it around, 0.26, pull that around, and 0.1, and pull that around onto the horizontal. So as it is here, again, if I draw it in green, have my point established here on the horizontal. Points 4 to point 1 there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring those points down towards the plane. So each of these points, bring them down. And that gives me the grid. So again, I bring my points out to meet it. So points 3 just as a grid. Points 2. Now remember, I'm using point 4 this time as a swivel point, and the true shape is going to be imposed on plan. So again, if you can see, point 4 stays the same. That's the swivel point, right? Point 4 stays the same. Points 3 and point 5 then is on this line here. So that's point 3 and that's point 5. Okay, then points 2 and 6. So that's point 2, that's point 6, and then the last point, point 1, that's point 1 here. So I'm just going to draw this in green. Okay, again, it will give me the same result. Okay, so So again, if I index these, this here is point 3, this here is point 2, and this here is point 1, point 5, point 6, and point 5, and then it goes back to point 4. Now, if I shade all of those in, again, I will use brown here. So that's a true shape here of the cut surface. That's a true shape of the cut surface. And that's a true shape of the cut surface. Okay, so indicate these again. So that there is a true shape. Okay, then this here is a true shape. And it's a true shape of cut surface and a true shape here. Okay, and they're all true shapes of cut surface. True shape, cut surface, true shape of the cut surface. Okay, so there's 3 different ways you can establish the true shape of this cut surface here. Now, what I'm going to do next is to show you how to develop the shape of the sides. So basically, true shape of the sides, to unfold the sides of this cut hexagonal pyramid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the top of the pyramid as a swivel point, and I'm going to get the length of one of these sides here. The length of one of these sides. Now the length of that side there is a true length. It's a true length. That length there is a true length of from this point here to this point here in the bottom, right? So it's a true length line of one of the sides. So that distance, if I swing that around, make sure I'm in the right position. Okay. Swing that around like so. So that is the true length here of one of the sides. Okay, each of those, that's the true length of it. I've used the top of the pyramid as a swivel, and I've pulled that around. Okay, the next thing I do is I step off the base length, which is 30 millimeters. So I get my compass and I'll get the distance there, 30 millimeters, and I step that off 6 times. 1 along the circumference that I've marked there. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for each of the sides. And then I connect all of those points that I've marked on the circumference and that back to the top of the pyramid. So here, like so. Now I'm going to use a different color pencil for this, or at least actually I'll use again green pen. Okay. Now, each of these lines goes out to each of these spaces of 30 millimeters along the circumference. However, it's not a cylinder. It's not a cone. So each of these points now have to be drawn from point to point. So this point here, point to point here, point to point here, all the way around. Now, because I've indexed those by way of the cut surface 1 to 6, I'm going to simply use the alphabet here for the outside points. So again, I'm going to use I'll use black here. So this point A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so I'm going to indicate these points again. So this point here is, I'm unfolding it. This is point C, then D, E, F, and then F goes to A, and you've got B and C. Now, as you can see, the first and the last point is point C. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do now is to show how this here now shows a full development of this hexagonal pyramid. So without the cut imposed, now from C back to around to C on the base here, and all those green lines back to the top of the pyramid, that shows you the development of the actual hexagonal pyramid. Before it's cut. But after it's cut, I want to show how does the cut impose itself on this development here. So what I simply do is I bring these points across to this true length line here on the side. So points 3 and 5. Now I'm going to use red for this as a broken line. 2 to 6 and 0.1. Okay, now you can see where I brought it along all those points across to this side generator here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my compass again, and from the top of the pyramid I'm going to first go with 1, so 0.1. Now 0.1 is point F. You can correlate the top point, see point 1 here? So that's point F. So where's point F? Point F is here. Now I could simply swing each one of those around, all the way around, before I even establish those particular points, okay? So point 1, point 2 and 6 is swinging around, points 3 and 5 swinging around. There's from that point there, swinging around, and then the last point, point 4, swing that around. Now, what I simply do now is establish the points. So I can see, as I said already, point 1 is already on point F there. So point F is here. So this is point 1. Right, so that gives me a point here. I'll indicate it with red here. So point F, that's point 1. Points 2 and 6. So point 2 and 6 is on A and E. So A and E. Okay, and points 3 and 5 is on B and D. So 3 and 5 here and D. And then the last point, point 4, is on point C. So this is point C, you've got point here, and then point C is also here. Right, now, I have each of the points established here. So if I index those again, points 4, okay, point 4 goes to point 5, point 5 to point 6, 6 then goes to point 1, then point 1 to point 2, that here, point 2 to 3, and then 3 back to 4. Okay, so again, if I show the imposition of that cut, I connect those points. So point 4 to point 5, five to 6, 6 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 back to 4. So what I have here now is a true shape of the sides, the cut sides. Okay, now I can just, for clarity's sake, I can show those curved lines. I'll bring them around again with the help of French curves just to show how they move. Okay, and again I can shade this in. I'll shade this in different, just a charcoal pencil. So this is showing you now the true shape or the development of cut sides. Okay, so just to recap, what I've gone through here is basically showing you how to develop the true shape of this cut surface imposed on the hexagonal pyramid. Okay, which you can see on plan. This is the imposition of the cut on plan, the imposition of the cut on the end view. So this shows you how to establish the true shape of the cut surface here on the right hand side by simply drawing a parallel line to the cut surface and putting your true widths on obviously in the spaces of the points 2, 6 and 3, 5. Okay, and then likewise again to draw your true shape here on the side view, you're simply using 1 as a swivel point and bringing your points up onto the vertical, bringing them across, bringing them up from the end view and correlating your points. And likewise the same on the plan, using 4 as your swivel point, bringing them down onto the horizontal, bringing them down to plan, bringing the correlating points out to meet them, and establishing, through indexing, the different points and connecting them up, get your true shape established on plan. And then this one here, very simply, your cut the sides that are cut. You first of all develop the full sides of the hexagonal prism by simply using the side as a true length side here, pulling that around, using the top of the pyramid as a springing point, and the length of one of the sides as a radius, pull it around, then step off 6 times the length of each side of the base, which is 30 millimeters. Bring it back to the top of the pyramid, and then what you're doing is you simply bring your points out where the cut imposes itself on elevation, bring your points out to that true length line here, and swing your points around. And then where they correlated, as you can see, I've labeled them from A to F on plan here. So where they correlate here, as I've developed the true one here, where they correlate with the cut points, I've correlated them here. So points 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that then establishes the cut points on the sides. Okay, and that gives me the true shape or the development of the cut sides here.